Next up, we're going to hear from Pow.Bio and their CEO and co-founder, Shannon Hall. Shannon.
Thank you, Leo, and really terrific to see the manifestation of all this great bio-based products making its way all the way through to IKEA. So very cool to be here in this group with this team. I'm here to talk a little bit about another way to do biomanufacturing using a twist on continuous fermentation and overlaying that with some really interesting software developments that we worked on for both process development as well as for running that fermentation. And hey, guess what? We brought along a couple examples because really today and tomorrow is all about networking and partnering and finding ways to work together. And we want to share some of our successes and hopefully inspire even more going forward. So I've watched people struggle with this all day, and somehow I've just learned how to do it. Thank you. So biomanufacturing needs to upgrade itself. It really needs to meet the moment we're in. We have incredible tools for the design of metabolisms and genomes and incredible ideas about how we're going to use it. But unfortunately, most of our process development, and really in particular, our manufacturing tools aren't that much different than they were 50 or 60 years ago. And so Pow.Bio is focused on changing the right side of this equation: process development, scale up, and production. We don't do any engineering on strains. We don't do any metabolic engineering. We really focus on how can we make the right side of that workflow work much more efficiently. And in doing so, we hope to realize the benefits inherent in any kind of continuous fermentation system, which is how can we make that fermentation substantially more productive, substantially more reliable, and substantially more reproducible. Because when we're manufacturing things, and let's not lose sight of the fact that we want to be manufacturing things, we want to be the supplier to teams like IKEA. We want to make things the right price, the right quality, and the same way every single time if we can do that. And in order to visualize what that would look like, we shared these models that help you to see what would it look like for a dairy protein at this scale, and I'm comparing the way Pow is looking at it and the way the traditional approach would be. Or on the right side, a cosmetic protein where you have a fixed amount of capacity. And your question is, how could I get more from that capacity? How could I get more product and then turn that site or that program into something that's even more robust going forward? So our tech stack, what we do at Pow.Bio is that combination of a multi-chamber system that does continuous fermentation. Please come by the booth. We'll be happy to explain it to you in detail. And with this crew here at World Biomarkets, I know we can kind of geek out, so bring it. We really want to chat with you about it. The not obvious part of doing continuous fermentation is that process development on these super long runs would be really difficult if it weren't for the fact that we kind of turned the whole process development process on its head. And now we use a long continuous process to interrogate lots of different conditions, often getting 50 or 70 times more data per run and creating what I like to call the sat-nav level map of that process, and using that map to then guide the autonomously driven fermentation software and say, hey, what could our fermentation look like every single time? Please give me the future. Please help me get there every single time. So using a better data set to build a better model and using the model to build a better manufacturing system. Super excited about that. But the rubber has to hit the road somewhere. So I brought a couple case studies to share and say, hey, this is how it's been working for us, and perhaps will be inspiring to you. Now, earlier, I showed you a big number for the dairy proteins that could be made with this, or in particular, a cosmetic protein that could be made with this. But in fact, there are lots of reasons to use continuous at smaller scales too, and I thought it could be an interesting twist to bring that to the table today. So the first case study is actually a partner who has a really high value product, and because it's so high value, they're actually only making it in about 5 to 10 meters cubed. Not a giant amount of production, not hundreds of thousands of meters yet, but they do have a fixed amount of capacity and a lot of demand. So they came to us saying, could your continuous system be the unlock or the answer we're looking for? And we put it to work in our approach, which starts with a proof of concept. And we just say, could we convert this existing system that they have into what we think a baseline continuous fermentation would look like? And then, if it looks good enough or we're encouraged enough, we'll do some additional optimization. And I like to bring this example ironically, I guess, because the very first try at continuous just wasn't better than fed batch. And I think it's a very realistic look at what it takes to move a different kind of manufacturing system into play. So we realized, okay, we have the right idea, we have the wrong conditions. And we deployed our software called Sophie for self-optimizing fermenter on top of continuous runs, then for 1 and 2 and 3 iterations. And in doing that, we took that baseline operation up by 3-fold. Now remember, this is a really high value product. So for that client, this was a big improvement in their ability to get more product out the door and more profit in the door. So along the way, while profitability per unit of kilo is not their number one problem, we also managed to reduce their unit cost. That whole program was done in about 10 months. So we started with a proof of concept that was developed over the course of 100 days. And in just 100 days, we were able to transition that fed batch process over to continuous and then dive into that process development. 10 months later, we're piloting on site at the customer site. They're able to see the actual results in their facility, and they're able to start to visualize how we would convert their facility to make this change permanent. So it's super exciting. So it's a rapid process development, it's a rapid improvement in fermentation, and it combines the continuous with a much better software platform, something that I think we're all looking for, much more data rich. I have another case study though, and this is a product, we're making a small molecule, and in this case, really, it's all about product development. So as you know, in product development, a lot of the progress is gated by how much material you have to work with. So sometimes you have enough, and sometimes you're waiting for another run and another run and another run to get the material you need. And what really dawned on this particular partner was, if I knew I could get a kilo of finished product, not a kilo of biomass, but a kilo of finished product out of like a 1 liter fermenter, it would have transformed my development timeline. So I put this case study together because I thought it would be super interesting to think about using continuous, not only for the large scale production economics that are really cool, but to also kind of go after rapid process development and rapid product development. So you could do the testing and the formulating and your regulatory filing and your business development a lot faster if you could just spin up the material you need when you need it. So in this case, we were able to get 5 times more material out of a really robust and already commercialized platform. And we were able to deliver critical grams to kilograms for that process program. So it was really exciting. I think those are 2 examples of using the approach we're taking for immediate impact. And hopefully by the time we're meeting together next year, we can talk about what it looks like as we scale up. So we've scaled this already into the thousands of liters, but we're ready to look forward into the tens of thousands of liters and beyond. We're really rewriting the rules of biomanufacturing. We want to make a precision fermentation platform that finally meets the business needs of precision fermentation, which is I need to have it economical, I need to build it economically, I need to have it be highly reproducible. We're going to help people get to market 3 to 5 times faster, 3 to 5 years faster. If you can have a ready supply of the product you need as you grow, sort of like sell it while you're building it, that really gives you the chance to get to market. It gets you the chance to hear back from vital business partners. It just gets you the chance to move forward versus being stuck in neutral. And finally, by overlaying this with the data we always wish we had at hand, we've got a nice integration of nimble, scalable, and data-driven approaches to fermentation that pay off at so many levels. They pay off at the hypothesis generation level. They pay off during the run to give you kind of a weather forecast of how things are going and where they're going to be. And finally, they give you that vital retrospective that says, hey, how did it go last quarter and how could we be even better next quarter? So are you waiting too long for critical milestones? If so, and you're interested and you want to know a little bit more about this approach, which is all about partnering and building the bioeconomy, come and see us. We have a stand here. We're really excited to talk about what we're doing. Thank you.